Welcome back to the webcast, All Sports One Web, where today we are talking about so much soccer news since last weekend, the VAR controversy. Champions League started this week, Tuesday, Wednesday. We wake up to Tuchel being sacked by Chelsea after yesterday's terrible performance in Croatia. I'm Adam. That's Doug. Let's go. All right, welcome back to the webcast. Today we are talking about last week's Premier League weekend with all of the VAR controversy, the Champions League games yesterday and today as we start group play in the Champions League. And we will also be doing our picks for the upcoming Week 7. But we have to start off with Thomas Tuchel being sacked by Chelsea. I woke up this morning. I saw the news. I couldn't believe it. I texted you, Doug, this morning as well. Seemed like you couldn't believe it. What are your thoughts on Thomas Tuchel being sacked this morning?
He won the Champions League last year. They won the Club World Cup, and they have no faith in him. I don't understand. I mean, he turned Chelsea around and made them not arguably, he made them statistically the best team in the world. They won the Club World Cup. They beat everybody. And then you fire him after a bad 7 games. Come on. He just got Aubameyang, so to help the attack. He just got Fofana. And you're gonna fire him? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. So some context for those that don't know: Thomas Tuchel brought in January to replace Frank Lampard. This is January of 2021. So yeah, 2021, January 2021, and he goes on his first couple of games, some draws, but very resolute defense. He brings in Antonio Rudiger and elevates him to a level that we haven't seen him play for the previous years at Chelsea. He then goes on to Real Madrid over this past offseason. But he takes that team and he goes on and just beats Manchester City 3 times on the bounce, including the Champions League final. We make one signing in the offseason to a team that was not his, that was half Lampard's, half Sarri's, and he brings in Lukaku, the redemption story, go into the season. Chelsea is top of the league in December. So that's 12 months on from when Tuchel was hired. We win the Champions League and we are top of the Premier League table. Okay. When he signed, we were 8th in the Premier League table. So we're top in December. We go through a bunch of injuries, some bad form. Lukaku becomes a absolute idiot and just says that he, on live television that he doesn't want to be a part of Chelsea anymore and wants to go back to his team in Inter. And that just everybody goes into shambles. We get sanctioned. Okay. We are not allowed to sign any players. We're not allowed to even improve people's contracts. So that's a big reason why Antonio Rudiger ended up leaving, because we couldn't negotiate because we were sanctioned due to the war between Russia and Ukraine. Our owner, Abramovich, Russian, obviously tied. He's an oligarch tied with the Russian regime and Putin and all of that kind of stuff. So all of his assets were being frozen, including Chelsea Football Club. And Tuchel rides that storm out. All he says during that entire time was how much he loves Chelsea. He's happy to be here. He wants to stay here. He even goes through a divorce at the end of last season. And while this is all going on, and he goes through that, and he's still committed to the team. He even has a famous quote from last year that if we can't afford, because Chelsea's assets were being frozen, to travel to away games, that Tuchel will rent a bus and drive the team there himself. Okay, that is how dedicated this guy was to improving the club. Going to the offseason, and with the new regime, Todd Boehly takes over and gives him £300 million to spend and they bring in everybody. We got Koulibaly and Fofana. We got Sterling and Aubameyang, and we bring in a defensive midfielder in Zakaria, and along to go with, and Cucurella for a left back. And you bring in some good young talent that's kind of there to be boost up the academy. And that's all in, the first 50 days of the regime under Todd Bowley, new owner, first time owning a soccer club. Yeah, fantastic quality. And we start off the season obviously very poorly. And it was very interesting. So when you compare the end of last season when we were, kicked out of the Champions League, obviously the league was already gone by that point due to our poor form in December and January with the injuries. So the league was gone. We had the FA Cup coming, FA Cup final coming. We had already lost the Carabao Cup by that point to Liverpool. And so in the league play and that kind of stuff, we were very sloppy. We were dropping points left and right. We almost went from guaranteed top 4 to being scared that we might not make top 4. And you knew Antonio Rudiger was most likely going to be leaving because he couldn't get that contract extension. We were sanctioned, all of that kind of stuff. He wanted to move. Real Madrid was looking for him, all that kind of stuff. Azpilicueta might have been, also out of the door. Christensen was going to be a free agent. He ended up, already confirming that he was going to move to Barcelona. And I just totally forgot where I was going with this whole thing. Anyway, I totally forgot where I was going with this whole thing. I'm just ranting at this point. But anyway, the point of the matter is I am just super upset in the way that we handled it. We handled it in 2 different phases. Okay, you have all these players leaving, and you bring in all these new players, and Todd Bowley looks like he's backing the manager after having all of those people leave, and he backs.
Yeah, this was finally Tuchel's team.
It was finally Tuchel's team.
Yeah, it wasn't Abramovich's team. It wasn't they finally. Abramovich brought in people that he wanted. It was his team. It was it was the philosophy he wanted. He just brought in a coach. Bowley came in and said, Tuchel, who do you want? And he said,
exactly.
Here's $300 million or pounds. And who do you want? So Tuchel said, This is who I want. And he got him.
Exactly. And so you go from all of that backing and the belief that you're going to, back the manager, something that Chelsea has never done in our history. I mean, we won the Champions League both times because we sacked our manager halfway through the season. That's just the way we roll. And we thought we're going to get that long-term success now. We're going to back a manager that is capable of winning every single trophy. I mean, Tuchel's made the final every tournament he's been in besides last year when we lost to Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Champions League after going 3-up away to the Bernabeu. And Real Madrid just went on and beat, City and Liverpool as well as PSG before Chelsea. So they, the champions. So, if you're going to lose, that's the best way to lose. And still probably shouldn't have lost that game. And you have a capable manager that can be there, that wants to be there, that's dedicated, all of that kind of stuff. And you give him all of the resources. Oh, I remember the point previously comparing the two. Okay. So last season, let me go back to that point. You had the players leaving, all of that kind of stuff, the contract situation, the freezing, all that kind of, and we were out of the competitions. We played with no energy at the back end of last season, 0 heart. And we got up for the FA Cup final and we got up for the Champions League when we did play Real Madrid. But when we weren't playing those big games, we played terrible with no energy. We were losing points, all that kind of stuff. This start of the season has been very similar to that, in my opinion. The only game we played well start to finish in was against Tottenham. And that's the biggest game we've played this season. And we got up for it. The other games we have had no energy. We've looked old and slow, which, we kind of are old and slow when you look at the back line, 37, 31, 33 in Silva, Koulibaly, and Azpilicueta. Jorginho's pushing 30 and is slow. Conte's always injured. Kovacic is coming back from an injury, but still past 28 and 30 for all those guys. And we look slow and tired. And there's no fight, no energy. Tuchel ripped the team just yesterday about that, wanting to come back, no days off, ready to work. And, he needed to bring that energy back. He needed to find a way to get them energized again. And I feel like the biggest problem that we have is as soon as we win something, we get complacent and our players can't bring that energy back. And it's hard to keep winning. I mean, we had a lot of success over the last 2 years, and we've played a lot of games over the last 2 years. And we can't keep it going. And it's so frustrating because it's not quality. I mean, it's kind of quality, but like you signed a $65 million left back in Cucurella. You already have Mount, who is decent at set pieces. Why in the world, when we have 15 corners in a game, we only get 4 good deliveries? The other 11 don't even beat the first man. Other teams are more likely to score than we are when we have a corner kick. That's how terrible we have been. Just focus and spacing and structure. We have been all over the place, and it has been terrible to watch. And it's just a mentality thing. And sacking Tuchel now, I think, feeds into that. But it's not going to show itself in the next 6 months. Graham Potter, and I'll let you speak about this when my rant is over. Graham Potter is now favored to be the next Chelsea manager. He's going to come in. He's going to organize the team, put the structure back in. We're going to get that new manager bump that everybody gets, no matter how good your manager is. You always get a bump, and that is because the players are playing energized because they want a spot in this new team. No one has a spot right now. It's a new manager. He has to make his own decisions. Everyone's going to play well, and we're going to look like everything is hunky-dory. We might even, make a little run here. That's definitely possible. But in the long term, this is going to fail unless we can bring in a structure that backs the manager. And if you have players that aren't performing, you bench them. Look at Chilwell. He got benched. He got benched for Cucurella, and he comes back and gets an assist and a goal last week against West Ham in 12 minutes. Absolutely great. But if you lose all credibility in that when you bring in players that haven't earned their spot and don't get dropped when they are doing poorly. Mount has been playing poorly, not up to his standards. I think he's just tired. I really think he needs a break because he's just too young and played so many games last year and the year before with in the year before, half Lampard, half Tuchel. And he needs a break. Havertz has been in or out. Look at him. He gets benched, comes in, scores. It's like that's the way you need to do it.
You need to rotate.
You need to rotate. And so we just need to back that kind of structure and have players be playing based purely on merit and have a manager backed by the club that his decisions will never be overturned, whether that's in the transfer market or, which all these rumors are coming out, that there's a big, butting heads between Boli and Tuchel over the summer from the Koundé transfer, Rafinha transfer, De Ligt transfer, and Ronaldo transfers. They disagreed on all of those, and that kind of added some friction there. But we need a structure to do that. Otherwise, we're going to continuously go on little good runs and then crash, and then little good runs and crash, which is why Chelsea is the only Champions League winners in history to win the Champions League and the following year get kicked out in the group stage. And this is the reason why. Because we ride the highs and we have quality to win everything, but we don't have a structure in place to actually extend it. And I'm done with that for now. But your thoughts on Graham Potter as the favorite?
Well, to your point about playing players without, having the merit or not benching players and all of that. Chilwell came in, 80 million pounds, came in, thought he played okay. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't, Leicester, Ben Chilwell. And they bring in Cucurella. Cucurella starts. And Cucurella plays better. And he's been much better than Chilwell was. What Conte is doing with Basuma, I hate it because I know how good Basuma is. But he's not letting him just walk in, and he's not treating him like he's a superstar because he's not a superstar. He's a solid player. It's not like we signed, Casemiro or, Frankie de Jong or something crazy. Obviously, they're going to come in and start when you're paying that kind of money for them. But when you have a young, what is he, 23? 23-year-old, you make him come in and earn his spot. Show me that you're worth it. And I love the way he's doing that because right now, Højbjerg's playing great. Why is he playing great? Because he's got Basuma on the sidelines knowing that if he doesn't play great, he's getting benched. I mean, Bentancur, same thing. If he doesn't play great every single game, Basuma's going to take his spot. So it's not only, just to keep Basuma in check and not let him get a big head thinking he's a superstar and anything like that. It just creates the competition within the team. And a little bit of competition in the team is very healthy.
Especially when you're winning.
Yes, and when I look at Chelsea, they had the same starting 11 week in, week out, regardless of how well they've been playing.
To start the season, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like you knew who was going to be on the sheet, on the team sheet. That's it. There was just nobody was going to slide in there, period. Regardless if they have terrible mistakes, they've had the same starting 11. And I think that's kind of why they do get a little lazy, because they feel like they have their spots.
Yeah. And I think there was a lot over the transfer window, a lot of rumors anyway, about whether or not players should be allowed to leave. Obviously, Ziyech wanted out. Pulisic was, 50-50. It seemed like he was willing to fight for his place, but if an offer came in, maybe he would have wanted to go, especially with the World Cup coming up. And Tuchel denied both of those exits. And I don't know how well that goes out with the players, especially when you have, those issues of, these are the people I'm starting with. Now, the interesting thing is we said all of these things, but in the last 2 games, he started to do it a little bit, where he dropped players. Mm-hmm. And, we saw last weekend West Ham, he dropped. Kepa Arrizabalaga started our first Champions League game this week. He started yesterday. Havertz played. Aubameyang started up top yesterday. Sterling played. But, he was looking to try and re-energize the squad. And one of the biggest problems is right now is some of the players that he's bringing in, they're not actually performing when they are given a chance. Conor Gallagher has been given more of a chance. He hasn't been playing that well. Loftus-Cheek has been hit or miss in some moments of the game. His decision-making hasn't been that great. And so that also, and you're not winning. So it's like you got to win. Winning is always important. So if you're not getting a tune out of anyone, you got to pick who you think you might get a tune out better. And I can kind of see that. But to bring in Aubameyang so quickly, to bring in Cucurella, Fofana, I mean, all of these guys started within 5 days of signing with Chelsea.
Yeah, that's not right to me.
And I think that also plays a part in terms of the determination and all of that kind of stuff. And
to be linked with so many players.
Yeah,
clearly as a Pulisic.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to go out and sign all these wingers, Rafinha, Sterling? Why are you going to get all these players when you bench me every game?
Yeah.
So naturally, he's like, well, I don't mind fighting for my spot, but you clearly don't want me here. Ziyech, same thing. You never play me. You never give me an opportunity to show myself. Pulisic was hurt on and off all last year.
Yeah.
Couldn't really get into a rhythm.
Never found form.
Yeah. Give me 3 games to finally, get my fitness back and everything. I would have wanted to leave too. I'm a big advocate for fighting for your place. Pulisic's good enough to start on your team. I really believe that. So Ziyech,
when he hits form, and he has shown that in patches, but he gets injured a lot, and that kind of derails him. But when he hits form, he's fantastic. He drives at players. Mm-hmm. He's willing to take them on, and he's just a whole nother level. But when he's not in form, he's not taking on players. He's just kind of passing and going, and he needs to be able to pick it up. But I mean, I agree with everything you said there. It's just the players are responsible for the energy and the determination, but you can help spur that on with competition and with places in the squad and with giving each player confidence, especially when they're playing well. And to bring in all of these players and to bring them in super quickly and all of that, I think just cut Tuchel's legs out from underneath him. I still didn't want him sacked.
No,
all of that being said, I did not want him to be sacked. I think he is the best manager that we've had besides Jose first time around.
Yeah.
And he comes from a similar background as Jose did in terms of both of them had great European success with clubs I mean, Tuchel coming from PSG, making the final, losing out to Bayern, and obviously Jose winning the Champions League with Porto before coming to Chelsea. And they kind of were building themselves as a complete package in terms of a manager. And Chelsea was really when they, really stamped themselves on the map and had absolute fantastic success. And in those first 50 games, Tuchel's side only conceded 24 goals in 50 games, which is absolutely incredible.
Insane.
Yeah. And the last 50, he's conceded over, he's like 55 or something like that. So he definitely has been trending down, but I think that's due to not injuries, but like just energy level and not like going for it. And it's been terrible to watch. But
I agree. The coach can't play the game.
Yeah.
The coach can only do as much as he can do to get the team ready. And tactically, I think he has the teams ready. I don't think tactics are the issue. I don't think that's the problem with Chelsea or with Tuchel or anything. What I think is, like we've been saying, the players just kind of seem like they don't want to play for him until it's a big game. So I'm not sure. I think maybe there's been stuff going behind the scenes where Bully's been telling him, hey, you really need to get your team straight or we're going to have problems. Maybe that's been going on for 3 or 4 weeks and nothing's changed. Could have. But
yeah, I mean, it seems like from the report so far that it was kind of a fracturing relationship that goes back to the summer, that they've been looking at the trends and seeing all this. But my whole problem is that you sent 2 messages out. I mean, even 2 weeks ago, and maybe this also didn't sit well with Todd Bowley. 2 weeks ago, Thomas Tuchel commented to the media that they were working on a contract extension. Okay. 2 weeks ago. Within 2 weeks, he gets fired. I mean, and you backed him with $300 million to start off your first season as, a charge with a manager that, I mean, there isn't a better one out there. And Graham Potter, it looks like he's going to be the one coming in. And you and I over, this channel have every week praised Brighton. They have a great start to the season. We've praised their structure and everything like that. And this is his big chance. This is him coming up to a top 6 team. And this is his chance to prove himself that he can bring all of that quality to Chelsea, manage bigger named, bigger quality players, and take them to another level in terms of challenging and winning major honors. Do you think that he can actually make that step and, I'm just going to say it, be an improvement on Tuchel's Chelsea?
I think you hit it perfectly. Can he manage these superstars? On Brighton, he doesn't have superstars. Brighton is the stepping stone for like the Basuma and the Cucurella and soon Tariq Lamptey, in my opinion. I think he's going to get a move very soon.
Chelsea Academy player.
Cool. So I think that he's going to bring the solidity to Chelsea that they need. Now, granted, I don't know how much better tactically you guys can get, because Tuchel normally sets up your team fairly well when they play a back 3. If they play a back 4, then everything changes. But Potter plays a back 5 or a back 3, however you want to, word it. And I think he's just going to bring that calm energy. He's not going to be fired up on the sidelines, trying to get in fights with everybody. I think he's just going to bring that calming presence on the sideline that just expects what he expects from his players. He wants quality. He wants you to work hard. And, I mean, you see what he's doing with Brighton. That it's not for nothing. I mean, he lost 2 of his best players, his 2 best players.
Incredible.
And
been incredible.
They are still just finding ways to win games or, tie the tough games. I think he's the best coach to get for any team, not just Chelsea. I think it's a perfect fit for Chelsea. But I think for any team that needed a manager, he was the number 1 target, I think, on everybody's shortlist.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely – there isn't, your Peps or your Klopps out there and, that currently are out of a job. Pochettino's name's been floated around. And so when you can't get one of those, you got to go with a manager that's punching above his weight, and that's definitely Graham Potter with Brighton. I'm excited to see how he does. Again, I am expecting a bounce. The first couple of games, especially up to this international break, maybe, it's going to be steady the ship. Don't do anything too rash. Figure out what players, what system, how you want to play it. So I'm going to kind of not disregard the results, but not pay too much.
Yeah, I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to come out and they're going to play really, really defensive, really slow, just to try and figure out how they want to attack, the rest of the season. I think he's going to take it really conservative. Now, I'm not saying you guys aren't going to score goals because you have Sterling, Aubameyang, and Havertz. You guys can score goals. It's just I think he's going to take a very conservative approach. I don't think you guys are going to be trying to hold 70% possession or anything crazy. I think he's just going to be very conservative for a few weeks until he figures out who he has. Obviously, they know the players. They watch tape on the players. They watch film and everything. But to actually coach them and train them every day, you'll learn so much about them and just their demeanor. How are they off the field? Are they more of a leader, or are they a jokester and they take everything, they don't take anything seriously? That's when you really find out who's there to win Champions Leagues and who's there to, win Golden Boots.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to toss out the first couple games in terms of results, but I'm definitely going to be looking, like you said, at performance, energy levels, dedication, that kind of stuff. But, after the international break, then we're going to really need to see some sort of forward direction in terms of structure and overall progress, baby steps, but still progress being made as we move forward. If it, in fact, is Graham Potter, which reports say it will be. He does have a $16 to $18 million release clause from Brighton. So Chelsea will need to pay that in order to get him, especially mid-season here. So we will see how that goes. Another former Chelsea manager, Antonio Conte. Big, news about him over the last couple of years. He's really great at winning leagues, but can he actually pick it up in the Champions League with Tottenham now? Some of these players that he have actually played in a Champions League final a couple years ago against Liverpool. And today they played Marseille, got 2 late goals with Richarlison starting. So I believe this is the first game that Richarlison actually started for Tottenham. As you mentioned earlier, he likes to kind of ease players in, make sure that they are earning their spot. He's had some great off-the-bench performances for Tottenham in the league. And so off Spurs go 3 points, your first group game for the Champions League. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, Richarlison's looked better than I could have hoped. I knew he was a good player, but there was always that little thinking the worst. Maybe he's gonna just not fit into our system. He's gonna not be up to par with all of our players. No, he's the spark that we've needed. He's that extra player that has more pace than Kulusevski, and he just becomes a problem for teams. He's not necessarily the best dribbler in the world. He's not the best scorer in the world, but he just creates problems. He's not afraid to attack any player. He goes hard for every single loose ball. I mean, whether it's a good challenge or not, he goes for it. And I mean, I like to see that. I don't like to see anything dirty, but I like to see him willing to get a yellow to get the 50-50 ball.
Yeah, and that just brings the whole team together.
That's what I mean. When you have Kane and Son lurking, if you can get a toe on that ball, then we could score. 90% of the time, we're going to score if you have Son and Kane on one-on-one with the goalie. So it's good to see him really starting to find his form and to find his spot in this team. I thought he wasn't going to be able to find a spot with our front three, but we haven't been scoring very many goals, and Conte is not afraid to bench anybody. He would bench Kane if he goes on a scoreless streak. I honestly think so.
Don't know. Yeah.
I honestly
have
think
that problem.
We were not going to have that problem. But if Kane goes 3 or 4 games without scoring a goal and he looks terrible, I bet you he would start putting Richarlison in there, and say, look, I'm going to find somebody who's going to score goals. So I'm really happy. We started off slow like usual. Second half comes around, we change some things up, and we start playing a little better.
Yeah, I think Richarlison is a tailor-made player for a Conte system, someone who's going to work very hard, has the speed and the quality to be part of that front three that's going to counter as soon as you guys win that ball back. Harry Kane being a ball-playing center forward is fantastic for Richarlison to be able to kind of run off of that.
Yeah. I mean, so right in front of Kane, that's perfect.
Yeah, and it's absolutely perfect. And we're going to talk about that with our picks coming up here. Week 7, we will be doing our picks as Manchester City take on Tottenham this weekend. But just to wrap up a little bit more of the Champions League action, if you haven't seen it, please go check out Atletico Madrid versus Porto. Skip 20 seconds. I'll give you now to skip the video or to mute it. I'm going to give you some spoilers. Red card in the 82nd minute, 91st minute, Atletico score, 96th minute, Porto get a penalty, tie at 1-1, 90 plus 11, the winner from Antoine Griezmann back with Atletico gets the winner in the 101st minute. What a game. So go check that out if you haven't. Napoli continue to be a thorn in Liverpool's side in Italy. They take them down 4-1 today. To get their first win in the group stage of the Champions League. Liverpool continue the bad start of form to start their season. I wonder if Klopp is going to be next now, because that just seems like the way it goes. I mean, Chelsea, obviously. Yeah. Chelsea lost yesterday to Dynamo Zagreb. Just terrible overall performance. One counterattack shortly after a set piece, ball, top of the box, they counter a bad play by Koulibaly. In terms of a 50-50 ball. Fofana, 21-year-old Fofana can't keep up. Brilliant little finish there from Dynamo Zagreb. And they take all 3 points in Croatia. Tuchel's last game. Holland, however, takes Manchester City to Seville, where they take on Sevilla. And he only grabbed 2 more goals to add to his 23 that he already had, making it 25 Champions League goals in 20 games. For Erling Haaland. This is the competition
that record.
It puts the best against the best, and he doesn't care who you are. He does not discriminate. All he does is get goals. As City beat Sevilla 4-0 yesterday in that game. Absolutely incredible. First week of the Champions League is now in the books tomorrow, and we will be moving to the Europa League first round of games. Arsenal and United will take on their first group stage matches. Just to recap the Champions League and the way it works, every team is in a group of 4. You will play each team home and away. We went over the draw recap on this show 2 weeks ago, and each group of 4, the top 2 teams will advance. You get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. You play each team home and away, and the top 2 advance, but it's important in which order you finish. The top teams from every group will be drawn against the second place teams in every group. So you want to go ahead and win your group, so that way you can get a easier match in the knockout stages. The knockout stages then pair the 2 teams. You play a home and an away leg, and whoever has the most goals at the end of both games will advance to the next round. And we will be doing our predictions for who we think will win the Champions League when we reach that level of the competition, purely because it's a random draw on who you play. There's no sense in picking 2 teams. They might play each other in the quarterfinals. So we will wait for all that to shake out. But that's kind of a recap of the Champions League and the breaking news that Thomas Tuchel has been sacked. So now we will be moving in so much to cover this week. Let's move into our picks from last week and our picks for next week. And we will start off from week 6. We did pretty well. We got 60 points. We start off here with Liverpool versus Everton, a 0-0 draw where Liverpool just looked kind of toothless. Lampard just completely flat. And Lampard were able to pull up a point in that one. Great Merseyside derby for Everton. Still waiting for their first win, though. 4 draws on the season for Everton. The next game was the first game of our controversy. So last weekend, there was so much issues with VAR. It was absolutely unreal. In this game, we had, it was 3-1 at the time, Brentford versus Leeds. You have a pull from outside the box from the Brentford defender on the Leeds forward. And it then continues into the box where he just decides to knee him in the backside. He goes down. No penalty called, no VAR awarding the penalty after looking at it again. Jesse March gets straight red carded for his complaints on this one, but an absolute atrocious call, completely missed by VAR. And sadly, that wasn't even the tip of the iceberg for this weekend. Brentford, however, did pick up all 3 points and look like, they can continue their great start to the season. But VAR is definitely the talking point, and I want to get your opinion on this one. We have a 0-0 draw between Crystal Palace and Newcastle, and we shouldn't have. I don't know what in the world happened. This is probably the worst VAR call, in my opinion, that I have ever seen. If you haven't seen the highlights of this one, I will recap it shortly. Newcastle play in a free kick. It gets headed across the top of the 6, where a Newcastle player is going to run onto it, gets shoved in the back by a Crystal Palace defender, runs into the keeper. The ball ricochets off the defender for Crystal Palace and goes in, and they call it for a foul on the Newcastle forward for running into the goalkeeper. Doug, you've seen this. Is this the worst call that you have ever seen from VAR?
This very well could be the worst call I've seen from VAR. He's clearly pushed. Clearly, yeah. I mean, he doesn't even go for the ball because he got pushed. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he kind of tripped and went for. No, he got pushed. So he didn't even try to go for the ball because he got pushed in the back. And they call it a foul on him because he ran into the keeper. I can't get on board with that one. That's for sure.
I just don't know what to do. I mean, what do I do with VAR now?
And they went back and replayed it.
Yeah,
that's what I wouldn't be as mad if they said no, we're not going to VAR. That's my call. That's what I'm calling. You say, okay, he's the ref. You take control of the game. Just make the call. But they go to VAR.
They called it a goal on the field and overturned it. Yeah, they called it a goal on the field and overturned it. And the interesting thing with all of this VAR, video assistant refereeing, is especially a lot of American fans, I feel like we are naturally inclined to compare it to NFL replay. NFL, we all know it. Every time we see a replay, is it clear and obvious? Is it going to just stand as the call made on the field, or is it going to be overturned, right? So we always are playing that battle, and I feel like we carry that on over into VAR. And I don't know, what is your opinions on allowing the ref to make a decision and only allowing them to look at the replay themselves if the VAR referee deems it as a clear and obvious mistake? Do you think that's the only reason that it should be awarded, as a clear and obvious mistake?
Yeah, I think something like that. He's on the field. He knows how fast the game is. If you slow it down to nanoseconds, you can pick everything apart. You can make a conscious decision of each side if you slow it down and watch it enough. You could talk yourself into any decision.
Yeah.
And he's on the field. He knows the pace of the game, and he calls it a goal. If the VAR says, hey, you might want to take a look at it, he can go over to the monitor and just say, you know what, it's close, but my call is my call. But let the ref on the field go to the screen and say, I don't think I made that big of a mistake, even if it was a mistake, even if it's an elbow offside, but it wasn't called offside. Hey, we're the refs. We make the calls, but yes, if he is a full, step offside and it wasn't called, then yes, you got to call that back. But my thing is, you got to play the game. You got to let the refs ref. Because if you don't, what's the point of even having them? Just make every call a VAR call.
Exactly.
Just have them speak over the loudspeaker and say he was offside. You might as well do that.
Exactly. You are basically refereeing the game by two separate referees. And how many times, it's gotten to the point now where when a referee pauses to take a look at VAR, that whatever he called on the field is going to be overturned.
Every time. You just know it. You have the guy in his ear telling him,
exactly,
you need to overturn that call because that was a bad call.
Exactly. And he's made the new decision. And I totally agree with you. We need a system, because I think VAR is fantastic and it needs to be there, especially when we look at these big games. You don't want, these calls deciding the game. Yes, they're talking points. Yes, they make them maybe interesting for a Monday morning in the office around the water cooler. But we can't have them. And so we need a system where, the NFL, they look at the booth upstairs, right? And then the referee goes and takes a look at it and, reviews it and, makes a call from there. And I think we need a system where the VAR can signal down to the ref pretty quickly. They don't need to review it 1,000 times and make their decision and then have the ref go look at it.
Exactly.
Just make them aware. Look, we are going to give you a buzz down to go take a look if we think that there's any bit of doubt, not any bit of doubt, but a decent amount of doubt that, hey, this was close. You need to go look at it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Hey, we think that's a close one. That's all he needs to say. Man, you might want to take a second look because when we watched it back one time, it was close. And so make it, if you can watch a replay in 3 seconds, and just say, hey, that was close. And then I'd rather have the ref go to the monitor 5 times than to have VAR make the decision. Yeah. I want the ref on the field to make the decision. I do not want it to be some guy that's sitting in his house in his underwear in London just saying, he's VARing 3 different games. No, I don't. Yeah. I just want it to be, let the ref make the call. It's his game. Let him make the call.
Yeah, and that would have definitely helped out this one. It did help us out with the picks as we picked a draw here, but Newcastle definitely robbed of 3 points from this one. And Bournemouth bounced back in Bournemouth after not scoring for over, 400 minutes of play. They go from 2-0 down away to my beloved Nottingham Forest and score 3. I saw this game. I was like, wow, Nottingham Forest, just as predicted, going to get all 3 points here. And next thing I know, Bournemouth are up 3-2. Sad to see it. Do you think Bournemouth, with this kind of win, can carry on some form? 2 wins on the season now. Or do you still have them marked for relegation?
No, I think it's still a relegation.
Yeah. Fair enough on that one.
It's just not enough for one game.
Yeah, and which is interesting because they have more points than Nottingham Forest so far, 6 games into the season. But the team that is one of the 2 remaining undefeated teams, Tottenham, in their 6 games, 4 wins, 2 draws, picking up all 3 points against Fulham. And what were your thoughts overall of Tottenham's performance?
I wasn't able to watch all of this game. But what I did watch, Tottenham just need to be better. We should not be winning 2-1 to Fulham. I understand giving up a goal to Mitrovic. He's a good player. He is a scorer. That's all. He is a bulldog. He scores goals. He's a good player. But Tottenham need to be better. I get it. We may have the odd week where Fulham comes up and they play a great game and there's nothing we can do about it. We squeak out with a win. That's going to happen. But it's been every single week. It seems like it's a close game or a tight game. We have to make some adjustments. We have to do something. And it's like, I understand we're still winning, but Tottenham are so good. We have so many good players. If anything, I'd rather see us winning 5-3 because our defense is what is bad. Our center backs are not great. Romero's pretty good, but the other 2 are very suspect. But we have some great goal scorers. And now adding Richarlison, it's just a great front three. And yeah, I'm not happy with it. I hate to sit back and let them.
It's the Conte way.
I hate them controlling the ball the whole game, and then we just try and counterattack. So it only gives us a few chances. When you watch City play, they shoot at least 10 times a half.
Yeah,
we shoot
that way.
We shoot 10 times in 3 weeks.
Yeah, but the thing is, you score 2 goals, and that's all you need. And
I get it.
That is definitely the Conte system, which makes it super interesting. As again, we're going to get into our weekend picks here, but I love to talk a little bit more as you just compared City and Tottenham in that game that is coming up. Finally, I was thinking to myself this weekend, man, if Wolves don't win this weekend, I got to stop picking them because I have been waiting for this. Finally, they pick up their first win of the season. A very close game as they all are at Molineux. Finally, Wolves pick up all 3 points there, and I can finally feel happy about it. What people do not feel happy about, and I've seen about a 50-50 split on this one, is our next game, Chelsea versus West Ham, where Sky Sports decided that in this game, the worst, not only VAR call of the day or of the weekend, but of all time was in this game when Havertz scores to put Chelsea up 2-1 in the 84th minute, and practically off of the kickoff, Reece James has a terrible decision to head the ball not only backwards but away from Fofana, who was ready to head it forwards. Plays a nice through ball into Bowen. Bowen and Mendy come at it. 50-50 ball. Mendy is able to get to the ball first, gets hit by Bowen, especially by that trailing leg. The play continues. West Ham end up scoring off of it just a few seconds later. VAR takes a review of it and deems it a foul on Mendy because it is a law and a rule that you cannot run into. I mean, I'm going to say anybody in any 50-50 challenge ever. If it's a 50-50 challenge and you are the second person to get there and do not get the ball and run into someone, it is a foul. If Bowen gets a touch and hits that same leg into Mendy and falls over, it's a penalty. But for some reason, we think that this is the worst VAR call of all time, Sky Sports, on the same day that the Newcastle Crystal Palace game was going on? Like, what are we doing? Tell me, Doug, what are we doing?
That was a weak call.
Okay.
It's not a foul. That's not a foul. If they're in midfield and they collide shoulders afterwards and they're both players stand up, it's not a foul. But
that's a shoulder tackle. This is not a shoulder tackle.
But if your shoelace touches the keeper's shoulder after you jump over him because you know he has the ball and you jump over him and you don't stomp on his leg and your trail leg touches him, and now that's a foul. That's weak. I don't know if it's the worst call ever because Newcastle was this weekend, but it's close.
Oh, I can't. Okay. It is close. A foul every day of the week. And no, I'm not just saying that because I'm a Chelsea fan. And no, I'm not just saying that because I am definitely part of the goalkeepers union. But it is a foul. Even if you want to go to Manchester City versus Aston Villa. Okay. Another controversy that doesn't get talked about that much this week. In the 38th minute, go back. Watch. 38th minute. Ederson goes straight up for a ball. Straight up. Okay. And the Villa player goes in and thank you. Yes, we're all about the drama here. Goes in and hits into Ederson as a 50-50 challenge, okay? Way weaker than the 50-50 challenge between Mendy and Bowen this weekend. And the ball, Ederson can't get to the ball because it's a 50-50 challenge. Shoulder to shoulder, like you just mentioned. And the ball gets 3 inches away from the goal line as a possible goal for Aston Villa, and they do not review it or wait for the watch decision. You know why? Because the ref called a free kick against Villa in favor of Ederson, okay? You know why? Because he hit the goalie. So why does nobody care about that besides Steven Gerrard, by the way, who pointed that out? Like, they didn't even review it. And yet here we are being super upset about the West Ham one. It doesn't make any sense to me. Is it just because that goal was between West Ham and Chelsea and everybody wants to see Chelsea go down?
No.
And City ended up winning?
No.
I don't understand the problem.
No,
it's like,
because
it isn't even close.
No, because Bowen did not affect Mendy.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that argument.
He did not affect him botching.
Oh my gosh, he hit him.
Because he did not hit him. He touched him.
Oh, he touched him. So he touched the goalie when the ball was already gone. Oh, I forgot. That's a foul.
No, but on a corner kick, the goalie can jump over somebody's head and land on him, and that's fine. That's not a foul.
Because do you know how hard it is to use your hands when everyone is pushing you around?
I would love to use my hands in soccer. I would love to use my hands.
Goalkeepers are treated differently for a reason. Because if the goalie goes down, then the other team almost 100% is going to score. And that's the reason why they're treated differently. That's the reason why they should be treated differently. And that is the reason why this is a foul.
Why do strikers get paid more than goalies?
They don't just get paid more than goalies. They get paid 1,000 times more than goalies.
But scoring's harder than stopping.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's why the Golden Glove is always under 20 clean sheets a year. And if you're under 20 goals a year as a top striker, you're booed off the field.
I just said that because I knew it would get you fired up.
Yeah, it will get me fired up because that is ridiculous. But guess who has ever won the Champions League off of a bad goalkeeper performance? No one. Thank you, Karius versus Liverpool. Yes, you had a concussion. No one cares. No one cares. He's the worst goalie that has played in the Champions League final, which isn't even his fault. And there's a reason why they lost. And yet, goalies get no respect on it. And I can't have it. I won't have it, especially not on here. That was a foul. Anyway, we move on to the next game, which we didn't get correct.
Opinion. We need an unbiased opinion. Chelsea, goalkeeper. Oh, man.
It's a foul!
Manchester City draws against Aston Villa.
Yes, another controversial moment. In this one, I will give you my unbiased opinion like I always do here. And that is the internet was screaming for this for a little while there. Leon Bailey with what a hit he had to tie this game up.
Player.
I'm
glad that
he just needs to
finally find himself and he's starting to get into the team. Yeah. He's a great player.
Yeah. I love him. I love Ollie Watkins. I'll say it every week. I'm
you will.
So after that, it's 1-1, right? And Villa is on the attack. It's, I think, like 3 or 4 Villa players with 3 or 4 City players in defense. A ball gets played across the top of the box to a Villa player who isn't able to get there. A Villa player that is more further left that looked like he drifted off sides and came back around to get that loose ball that was kind of in space because, again, players are running towards the goal and there's no one really set back there. Picks the ball up and is able to give it to Coutinho, who takes 2 steps. The whistle is blown for offsides because of that player that came back around to get the ball and played into Coutinho. As Coutinho is taking another step to then hit the ball, and he hits it. It doesn't go top right corner, but it's pretty close, right underneath the crossbar, and it goes in. And everybody is clamoring for, hey, this should be, this is a disallowed goal. Like, why did you raise your flag? And when you look at the review, it was completely onside. So Coutinho should have been allowed to shoot. The sideline referee should not have put his flag up, especially in such a close call. And they should have let the play continue. I am of the opinion that it isn't a disallowed goal situation because it was called way too early. You can see Ederson is being, a goalie that's just like walking. And if the play is already dead because of the whistle, you're not going to dive for anything. So you're going to lean for it. Yeah, you're going to lean for it. Yeah, you're done. And you could also see, I think it was Rodri as well, who was kind of in front of screening Coutinho from the goal. Kind of took a little bit pace. I don't know if he was going to block it, block the shot, but he definitely started walking a little bit there. But I think the center of attention needs to be VAR on this one, right? We've already seen the VAR official, in the booth in Stockley Park in London. We have so much complaints about that. There's always been talk every game about the offsides sideline referee letting plays go on that are 30 yards offsides. And now in this one, not allowing play to continue on a super tight call. Do you feel like the referees implementing VAR are a problem, or that VAR is a problem?
I think they need, if they're going to use VAR, then use it. If you're not going to use VAR, then don't use it. So if you're going to instruct the side judges to raise the flag when they see an offside, as soon as they see it, raise the flag, blow the whistle, whatever, then play like that. But that's not how we're playing. We're playing with VAR rules everything, which, okay, that's fine, but that has its own problems. But to me, if it's close, let it go, and then take it back to VAR. If he scores, then go to VAR, have the ref walk over to the monitor, and make the call. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been back and forth on this one. So I like that if it's close, let the play run on from the sideline ref, because the sideline ref is the only person on the entire field, including VAR. I mean, even those camera angles, in my opinion, there's a reason why they have to draw lines across the field, because there isn't a camera every inch of the field to see directly across. And the linesman is trained to stay with the last defender. And so he is supposedly supposed to be on that, couple feet where he can see straight across the line. So he will have the best position of all time. So you have to rely on his positioning as a center referee. And if the flag goes up, you have to believe that that is absolutely the correct call.
Yeah,
so
you're a team. So if your teammate tells you that somebody's offside,
exactly,
you blow the whistle. That's what he's there for.
Exactly, especially when he has the better angle and everybody knows it. And so we have to make sure that he isn't raising his flag on close calls, because if he raises it on a close call, then we are calling it offsides, and then the play's dead. Or he raises his flag on a close call and we let it play on, and then we lose all credibility in the sideline referee, and we just never know if it's really offsides or not.
Yeah.
And so we can't have it that way, so we have to go with the first way. So we need to make sure that they are not doing that. And, I don't think that this was the goal, but I definitely think that this needs to be clipped and reviewed and understood so that it never happens again, because it could have been detrimental to the game. And luckily for this one, it was not. But thankfully,
this is a big time teaching moment for
exactly
all referees. They need to watch this and study this and tell every referee, including the center, the center referee and everything. If it's close, let it go. If it's a step offsides and it's close, or one where they're running, they're offsides, but they come back and then they play the ball while they're coming back and it's really tight, don't call it, because VAR can call it back.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So don't. If it ends up being nothing, then okay, let it play on. Whatever. Yeah. If it ended up in nothing, then that does not. If he's offside after the replay, but 30 seconds goes by and nothing happens, well, whatever. Just keep playing. You can't call. Oh,
they missed little fouls all the time.
Yeah. So a minute after they missed the offside, they scored. It's because of the offside.
Very convenient coming from a Tottenham fan.
It is.
Still bitter.
And I just think, the obvious ones, call it. If you're positive, then just call it offside. You have the best view, like you're saying. If it's offside, then call it offside. But especially when, obviously the judge, the side ref can't, foresee the future that Coutinho was going to bang one into the net. He doesn't, he doesn't know that, but you got to think that could happen. So if it's really close, just let it go. And the worst that happens is you go to VAR and you get overturned. Okay, that's fine. Or
the correct call
play goes on, nothing happens, and a minute later, who cares? You're still playing. Exactly. You're not even slowing down the game. So it's even better because you're not slowing down the game.
Yeah. A team that would love to slow down everybody's game with their start to the season is Leicester. They just look like they cannot put the pieces together. Brendan Rodgers coming out saying that the squad is just not good enough. They were unable to get the reinforcements they needed in the summer. Brighton continue their amazing start to the season, 4 wins out of 6, but they might be losing their manager. For Brighton. Yeah, but the structure is there. The money is there from all of their sales, and we hope that they will be able to press on. They're one of the best run clubs in all of England. And they're going to find the next Graham Potter. I have no doubt about it. But great start for Brighton. Another VAR controversy call. Doug, what were your thoughts on this game when Martinelli opened up the scoring 16 minutes in after Arsenal were able to win back possession in the midfield, play 2 through ball, well, take a touch and then play a great through ball through to Martinelli and open up the scoring only for VAR to call it back?
I think it looked like a foul.
Definitely a foul.
I watched it back, and it looked like he pushed the player before he went for the ball. It's not like it was one fluid motion where he kind of went in and he body checked him, and it was just a hard, tackle or anything. He looked like he pushed him off of the ball and then took the ball. And that, to me, that is a textbook foul.
Right. Yeah. That is a foul in my book as well. Every day of the week. Manchester United, 4 wins on the bounce.
Looking pretty good, actually.
And looking pretty good. Their 2 wins at home over Liverpool and over Arsenal. And they are high flying at the moment. Maguire on the bench, Ronaldo on the bench, Casemiro now to be integrated into the squad. And they just look like Rashford has new life.
Rashford, Antony, and Sancho.
$1 million man. $100 million man, Anthony.
If they can figure out the midfield, we better watch out with that front 3 with Fernandes and Eriksen hitting balls into them.
Hitting balls on it. Yeah.
A nightmare.
Yeah. What a great start under Erik ten Hag. Manager bounce. I'm telling you, the manager bounce.
Well, everybody was saying, is Ten Hag going to be the first sacked manager? Is United a falling club? I was in that category. They needed something to happen.
And he made all the
guess what happened? He benched arguably the best player of all time. Yes, he's 37 years old, but he's still Cristiano Ronaldo. He still scored a lot of goals last season. He doesn't care. Ten Hag doesn't care. He's like, if your heart and soul is not into this team, then you're not going to play.
Exactly. And you can see the heart and soul with Lisandro Martinez, who looks absolutely fantastic to start the season. So much reporting, baloney reporting, in my opinion, criticizing his height over and over and over again. Like, we haven't seen Otamendi play extremely well in the Premier League, and even, some great shorter defenders. And
even Fernandinho.
So, look at Conte. Granted, he's not a center back, but
center defensive mid. But then Fernandinho did play some center back, for Man City.
Yeah, and it's not like you don't have tall players to help deal with corner kicks and stuff like that against the opposing center backs. And he's great in the air anyway, and he's tall enough to make a difference in that area, and that's all that you need.
Over height.
Yeah, exactly. And he's proven that every single day as United win 4 in a row. And that wrapped up our picks for last week. 6 out of 10, not too shabby. We are increasing that win column slowly and surely, 28 and 22. And let's go into week 7 here as Chelsea take on Fulham at Craven Cottage, another London derby. Fulham have been great at home. Chelsea currently without a manager. Mitrovic currently on form. Chelsea going to be able to right the ship in the interim. Maybe Graham Potter is on the sidelines for this one. Do you think Chelsea will be able to go in to Craven Cottage and pick up a victory?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's a draw at best for Chelsea in this game because of all the issues that are going on. And I don't know. Like I said, even if Graham Potter does come in, I think he's going to be conservative, and not like I'm thinking they're going to be bad. I just think he's going to try and play conservative and not really try and go for, a 5-0 win or anything crazy. I think he's just going to try and settle into the new job. And so really, I think it's going to be a draw.
All right. Especially with traveling on Tuesday to Croatia and back, Aubameyang obviously not fully healthy with his broken jaw, wearing his mask. We'll see. I don't even know, who's going to start. Joel's been playing well, but Graham Potter knows Cucurella. That back line, Thiago Silva didn't play in the Champions League game. Fofana has looked okay to start. Koulibaly has looked, good at times, okay at times, especially missing, not winning that 50-50 ball. Is veterans like Azpilicueta, Jorginho going to be starting because of the fact that they've been there, done that. And it's going to be really interesting to see. Craven Cottage, always, Fulham seem to be playing well there. So I can go with the draw for this one. If I could pick in between a Chelsea win and a draw, I would, but I will.
I agree. I think it could come out as, they just lost to Dynamo Zagreb, a team that they should have beat by 10. They could come out and say, Fulham, sorry about your luck, but you caught Chelsea at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Or it could be a draw and they look a little flat still and a little shaken up by losing Tuchel.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. First pick of week 7. Brighton put 5 past Leicester last weekend. Even though one of the goals could have been 6 after McAllister's thunderbolt of a strike was disallowed for offsides, as another Brighton player went for the bike off of the free kick, was in an offsides position, and that got called back for that. Another outrage from fans. I am on the side of he's offsides and he tried to play the ball. Therefore, the rule says that's a foul. He's offsides, and it needs to be called. However, they have changed this rule and they've been back and forth on it. And now even with offsides, they're allowing more of a leeway to be onsides. They're thickening the lines and everything like that. But we saw this in the Tottenham-Chelsea game with Richarlison when he was in offsides position for the first goal, and the ball kind of goes behind his heels, but he doesn't necessarily make a move towards the ball, but he is in an offsides position. What are your thoughts overall on how players who are offsides should be handled? Is it, if you're in offsides position and you make an attempt at the ball, it should be deemed offsides? Is it if you're in offsides position and you actually touch the ball, then you're considered offsides? And we're going to take away screening the goalie because that's a whole separate issue. Like, you might not touch the ball or you might touch the ball, but if you're screening the goalie, I think everyone can agree that should be called offsides.
Impeding play.
Exactly. So what are your thoughts overall on how the offsides rule is implemented?
Yeah, it's tough. I've been back and forth on this one. I think it's kind of up for the ref's discretion. To me, it looked like the Leicester defender was playing that ball like nobody was trying to bicycle kick it. I think he was trying to head it out even if somebody wasn't there. And so when he whiffs on the bike, I don't think it affected anything because Justin James was already looking at the ground, or James Justin was looking at the ground going for the head. So I don't think it affected it. So to me, it's up to the discretion of the ref to decide whether that was impeding play or not. And same with like the Richarlison one, where I don't really think he was screening him. He didn't make an attempt. I don't think he really did anything to stop Mendy from, blocking that goal. But yeah, if they're screening, or if somebody is, acting like they're going for the ball and then they just stop out of nowhere and the defender goes to play the player, not the ball, because he thinks I think it's up for discretion. I don't think that one should have been disallowed. I personally would like to see things let go a little more. Don't stop play so much. Just let them play a little bit. Be a little more lax on those calls. Now, I understand offsides is offsides, but I feel like those ones have their room for discretion on the ref.
All right. So, offsides seems like it's being tweaked, maybe not as much as the handball rule, which seems to change every 2 years. But um, so you would like the rule to be, let's say, framed as if you are in an offside position and you affect play. So
Right.
give it that subjective wording so that you can give it to the ref to determine if he is offsides and he's affecting the flow of the game or that kind of thing. And obviously, if it's a close call, the sideline ref will leave his flag down to allow play to continue, and then you can review whether or not he really was affecting play. So that's
Exactly.
how you would say.
Yeah, exactly. Leave it up to VAR. If you're going to use VAR, let it go. So I say, especially on those close ones, let it play.
Yeah.
Let the goal be scored, and then go to VAR. And to me, I'm not mad that it was disallowed. I'm only mad because it was a fantastic goal that got disallowed. But I think that it was just one where it could go either way. And it's not a black and white rule, or it doesn't have to be. It is if the player is offsides, he runs,
touches early,
it, and then he goes and he touches and scores. That it's pretty black and white. But when it comes to being offsides and coming back onsides and do they affect play, that's a subjective rule. That to me, that's up for however the ref sees it.
Yeah, I can totally get behind that if we can implement that and make sure that is the rule. For me, this was offsides. I think it was rightfully called offsides. He made a play to the ball. I think that was an important rule to add in the rule book, was making an attempt to play the ball. But in this golden world of VAR and the possibilities, I like to think that we could implement something like you just mentioned there, and that would be perfect in my opinion.
Yeah, I would just like I would like the ref on the field to make the call. I don't want VAR to make the call. I want the ref to watch the play over again and make the call, because it's their game. So let them make the call. I don't want 4 different refs on the field making the call. I want one guy that makes the call.
Backseat reffing. I totally agree.
No.
But with or without Graham Potter, do we feel that Brighton is the superior team to travel right down the road there to Bournemouth and get all 3 points?
I think so. Yep. Brighton's really good. And they're right now, early in the season, I was saying that I don't think they're going to score very many goals. Who's their goal scorer? Well, McAllister is showing that it doesn't matter where he's at on the field, he will score.
Yeah.
And Pascal Gross, I don't care. I'll score. They will score goals. And I think they're just too solid for Bournemouth.
Yeah. There's another one for me that I wish there was an in-between button between draw and a Brighton win. I can see this either Bournemouth getting a set piece goal, something like that, making it a little bit more interesting. Maybe Brighton, can't finish all of their chances. But I would agree with you that Brighton are definitely favored to bring all 3 points back home and get their 5th win of the season.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Now we move into Leicester taking on Villa. The 2 of the teams that the storyline is, I feel like you could do better. And
yes, definitely.
Villa taking a point away from Manchester City last week. Maybe they're turning the corner a little bit. Undefeated in their last 2 games, which I guess is big. Leicester just looked like they can't get anything going, but they'll be at home for this game. What do you see between these 2 teams that after 12 games only have 1 win between them?
I think this is a Villa win because they are riding a high of taking a point off of City, and they're going to feel like they were wronged by that Coutinho disallowed goal, whatever you want to call it. I think they're going to start playing well. I think, Leon Bailey's going to start playing well, or, get into his rhythm. Ollie Watkins is, a fantastic player. Danny Ings is great. Coutinho's finding his form. I think Aston Villa are going to take this one. Yeah,
I could totally believe it. Quality-wise, Villa look like they should be doing better, but they just haven't been. And you kind of are playing the fence where you're like, okay, they're going to get there. They're going to get there. They're going to get there. And they just, I don't know, they haven't seemed to put it all together yet. I could see it doing in this game where they put it all together. Leicester, for me, after getting battered 5-2 last week, return home. Obviously, a lot of questions, a lot of problems to
having your coach tell you that they're not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And, so something's going to change. I do think that they're going to put a lot more heart into this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw, but I am with you on this one. I will lean Villa taking 3 points. Yeah. All right.
Oh, no.
Liverpool battered by Napoli today, 4-1, after just being in the Champions League final not 5 months ago. And, league form hasn't been that great, coming off a 0-0 draw in the Merseyside derby. Wolves will travel to Anfield for this one after picking up their first win. Is this another bounce-back game for Liverpool where they show a glimpse of their quality, or is this where they continue to struggle?
I think they're going to struggle against Wolves. I mean, what shows us that they're not going to?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they'll struggle, but it's whether or not I think this will be a close game, but I have no confidence really in Wolves away from home scoring twice for sure. And even scoring once might be a little bit more tough. So for me, I would say Liverpool will squeak it out.
I don't think it's going to be a Wolves win.
Okay.
But I think this will be. I think this will be a very tough game for Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Liverpool can. I mean, obviously they have the players to do it. It's just, are they going to figure it out? I think they will, but I think it's not going to be a fun game for them.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They return from Italy after playing today, so on a short week for them. But I think I'm going to have to give 3 points to Liverpool. I think that they will find a way. Right. Brentford away to Southampton. What are your thoughts on Brentford continuing their good start to the season, going down to Southampton and taking 3 points?
I think this is going to be the first time, and maybe the only time, that I pick Southampton to win a game.
All right. Yeah, I could see it. It seems like they definitely have, since that switch in formation, it seems like they're getting confidence. They're getting their young players more integrated, get their legs underneath them, get more experience. I mean, every week is like doubling their experience. Got 18-year-olds playing in midfield here. So I can see it, a Southampton win, and I will go for it. Southampton to take all three points at home. And here we go. Antonio Conte taking on Manchester City at the Etihad, a place that has been just trouble for everyone except Tottenham and Antonio Conte. I remember as Chelsea manager, we went in there. Kevin De Bruyne ends up hitting the crossbar from 3 yards out, and after City were already one goal up thanks to a Gary Cahill own goal, and it could have been 2-0 in quick order. Really, and we thought we were going to be dead and buried, only for us to sit back and counter 3 consecutive times and score 3 consecutive goals. And we won 3-1, kept the title alive, ended up winning at the end of that 2017 season. And for me personally, Spurs played at home against Marseille. City traveled to Sevilla on Tuesday. I mean, still City, and they're still at home. But I feel like Tottenham can grab a goal against City in this one. And I think they can be resolute enough to where this will be a 1-1 draw. Wow. That's the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
You have any confidence in your Spurs to go to the Etihad and pick up all 3 points and pass City in the table?
All 3 points. So last year we started with Nuno, and it was our first game with City. And we played kind of like a Christmas tree formation where it was just Son up top or Kane up top, and then everybody played defense down the line, and we had a stacked midfield. We had 3 players in midfield. And if we don't play a 3-5-2 and put in Basuma instead of, Richarlison or Kulusevski, we just play with Son and Kane up top, I think we're going to struggle because we saw it against Chelsea where they controlled the ball in midfield. And I understand that that's kind of how we want to play. We want to sit back, but we have to control the midfield because De Bruyne is the best player in the universe when it comes to holding the ball at his feet. I mean, when he's just sitting in midfield, there's nobody better at finding somebody open, and who's not even open, at making somebody open. And he is Haaland, arguably the best striker in the world.
Yeah.
So,
on great form.
I don't personally think that we can stop them from scoring enough. I think we can hold them to 2 or, something, and we might pick up 1 because the way to beat City is pass, deep. Quick pass, deep.
Yeah, and beat the pressure.
Exactly. Because as soon as they lose the ball, they're gonna have 3 players swarm to it. So if we can pass and send it long, which is why we need 3 midfielders, because we need to make sure that there's somebody close to pass it to.
Yeah.
Then I don't think we can score on them. The reason that we scored on them with Nuno was because that's exactly what we did. We had enough players in the middle of the field to get around their quick press after they lose the ball.
Yeah.
And then we sent it to Son or Lucas Moura. And they were fast enough to beat the defenders. And then it's basically a 3-on-2 at that point. And I think we're going to play our 3-5 or our 3-4-3. I think we're going to make Son or Richarlison or Kulusevski, they're going to play defense all game. And then we're going to expect them to run 70 yards and score a goal. And that's not fair to them. That's not fair to criticize them when they have bad games, even though they're playing as wing backs and we're wondering why they're not scoring 3 goals. So I think it could be a draw because we could be good enough defensively, but I think it's going to be a City win. I maybe because they traveled and we didn't, but I think City are good enough and they're deep enough that I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, this has been the story of the entire season, and it's Conte's MO for everything. I mean, even against Nottingham Forest, after 60 minutes, you guys had 25 or 30% possession away a newly promoted team. And it's the way you sit back, and it's just whether or not we saw it against West Ham, sitting back, allowing pressure. West Ham were able to get a goal. Now, you guys scored first, I believe, in that game, which is exactly as you guys planned it. But if you keep inviting pressure, especially against quality and more quality opposition, you will concede. It's just impossible to keep them out for that long.
If we invite City to press us and just to whip in balls over and over again, they will score.
Yeah, Haaland will take Dyer and throw him like a rag ball. Yeah. I could see it. And, it's almost kind of like on a Tottenham play on the knife's edge, right? Especially when they do not score first.
Yes.
And you guys were able to come back against Chelsea. But I think in almost every other game you have scored first. And
there's no doubt in my mind that if City score first, we are going to change completely. And we will go all out attack and we will have chances. But the problem is you saw it against Chelsea. When we lose the ball, Haaland and De Bruyne will score 9 goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't even be close because if we're not playing in our tight back 5, then we cannot defend.
Yeah, and you need the structure there and you need to stick to it. And so I guess it's right. It just depends on if Haaland can get that one chance, especially early on the game, and get that goal. And if he does, I agree with you. City will definitely take all 3 points. So it'll be a great one to watch. But I think the webcast is going for a City win in this one to give Tottenham their first loss of the season and keep City as the only team still available for an invincible season. Arsenal take on poor Frank Lampard and Everton back at the Emirates after getting thumped by Manchester United. You got them as a quick pick to rebound in this one.
Yeah, this one's not
they play on Thursday. They play tomorrow. I'm not sure if that's away or not, but they now start their two games a week now for Arsenal. I'm very intrigued to see how they cope with that one. Again, another test of character. So here we go. You lost. You have another game coming up. You have some injuries. Let's see what they can do.
I think their B team beats Everton.
And that is the respect that Doug has for Lampard and Everton right there. The B team of Arsenal.
I love Everton.
Beat Everton.
They're bad.
Yeah. I mean, who would have thought that, 6 weeks in, Everton don't have a win, and Lampard, if he gets sacked tomorrow, would be the third manager sacked by a Premier League team. Absolutely incredible after, Scott Parker, the best dressed, and Thomas Tuchel, the best, I would say, tactician in terms of being able to change formations to help combat whoever he's playing. Pep plays a certain way, Klopp plays a certain way, Conte plays a certain way, but I feel like Tuchel has a little bit more versatility, and both have been sacked already. Has been absolutely incredible. Arsenal for all 3 points. Newcastle, the team that just every game you watch, there's some great goals, there is controversy, there goes from losing to winning to drawing, back to losing, back to winning, all in the span of 15 minutes, it seems like. I don't know how they are one win on the season with all of the performances that they've had this year.
The players that they have.
Yeah. Now they travel to West Ham, who will be playing their Conference League game, I believe, tomorrow at the London Stadium. Who do you got in this one?
I think this will be a draw. I think Newcastle should be favored to win, like they are, but I think it'll be a draw. I think West Ham bring it back. West Ham haven't really lost a game for being terrible or just getting beat badly or anything. They've been playing solid. They've just had some bad breaks. They've played some really tough teams, and they've just had a few losses that they maybe should have been draws or should have won. Like the Nottingham Forest game where they had about 17 off the crossbar. But I think they're too good. They're just too good of a team, and I think Newcastle, they have flair, they have style, they have speed, but I think West Ham are just too solid.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, West Ham are going to be fuming after that David Moyes called as well one of the worst VAR decisions he's ever seen against Chelsea, where they lost 2-1 at the Bridge. They get to return home, play Newcastle, who just seem like they're always up for it. I could totally see 2-2, 3-2. I would lean West Ham in this one, but I am comfortable saying that this is going to be a good game with a draw as the result. And now we move into Sunday when United take their 4-game win streak on to take Palace. What are your thoughts on Patrick Vieira, who has been playing so well, getting Palace set up so well against the bigger teams? We saw him have a 2-0 lead over City at halftime. They were moments away from grabbing all 3 points at Anfield. Now they are home to United. What do you have for this one?
Just poor Palace. They've had a rough go so far. They've had 3 really good draws. They should have won probably 2 of them. 2 losses. They're a better team than their record shows. And I think United are too good right now. I think they're riding the high. I would say United to win this one, but I don't think it's going to be comfortably.
Yeah, I totally agree. It'll be interesting to see how they play tomorrow, the Europa League game for Manchester United. Crystal Palace obviously playing their last game last weekend in that 0-0 draw with Newcastle up in Newcastle for that one. They get to return back to London. So I'm struggling with this one.
Yeah,
I think when United has gone on the road this year. Yes, and they've beaten Southampton 1-0. It seems like 1-0 is their way to go. They've definitely been playing great at home. 4 wins on the bounce is fantastic, but I think 1-0 over Southampton and 1-0 over cannot remember who the other team was in their 4-game win streak, but I believe it was a 1-0 win is there as well. To play Crystal Palace is definitely going to be a better defensive setup on a short week. It's just whether or not Palace can score for me on this one. And so for that reason, I would go a draw here. I think Palace will be ready to go. And
I'm
still
okay
a
with
big
a draw.
United. Yeah.
All
I don't
right.
think United are very deep. So
Yeah.
if they struggle in the Europa League game, and they have to play all their starters and they have to play, 70, 80, 90 minutes, then yeah, I think it could be tough for them to go to Crystal Palace. They always play tough at home. And Patrick Vieira just has this team firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. They play a certain way. They know what to do. They know their job, and they let Zaha go wild.
Yeah, and they don't play afraid. They just don't play afraid.
They are ready for anyone, no matter the competition. That is for sure. Nottingham Forest take on Leeds. We will see if Jesse Marsch is suspended for this game. I don't think he should be, considering both Tuchel and Conte weren't suspended for or Tuchel especially wasn't suspended for his immediate next game. It was the following game. So Jesse Marsch should be on the sideline when Nottingham Forest come to play Leeds at the 8 p.m. game. So we will not get to see Dean Henderson in his hat. But I know I'm always excited for it. But can Leeds do what Bournemouth did last week and take all 3 points and get some goals past Dean Henderson this weekend?
I think so.
That's
nothing really more about it. I do think so. I think that Leeds are a streaky team. And
definitely so.
I think they'll find it this week.
Yeah. After conceding, 5 to Brighton?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely looking for a bounce back game there at home. I can see Leeds, 2-1, 2-0. I'll get Leeds all 3 points in this one as well. And there we have it, all 10 picks for the upcoming week 7 in the Premier League. We are inching closer and closer to the World Cup, which kicks off in November. We will have the U.S. playing a couple of friendlies here coming up as well in the international break that is only 3 weeks away. On the webcast, we will be giving you all of the prep, all of the information. So stick with us when it comes to the United States and their road to Qatar coming up in November. Every Wednesday, we are doing Premier League and Champions League, along with integrating that U.S. content here at 7 p.m. live on the webcast. Friday, we will be recapping college football's first week. Some great games there. And every Tuesday, starting yesterday, we are doing NFL. So we will recap the NFL's first week that kicks off tomorrow night when Buffalo travels to the defending champ Los Angeles Rams on
game that's going to be.
Yeah. So make sure you tune in for that one and catch us on Friday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. This is the webcast, All Sports One Web. I'm Adam, and that's Doug. And until next time, we will see you.
See you guys.